One of the first things that President-elect Donald Trump says that he's going to do in office is abolish the federal Department of Education. Our Evan Krugel shows us how likely that is to actually happen and what it could mean for Colorado schools.
Going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states.
That was President-elect Donald Trump last year, announcing his plans to shut down the federal Department of Education and shift control to states.
We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse.
There will be chaos in the process, almost certainly. And so the question is there a good reason to do that?
Kevin Wellner is a professor at CU Boulder and the director of the National Education Policy Center, where they estimate 10% of Colorado school funding comes from the Department of Education.
Everybody will feel this impact.
Kevin Vick runs the Colorado Education Association, the state's teachers union, and says they're concerned about impacts to low-income students and students in special education programs, which are funded by the DOE.
You know, we're near the bottom of per pupil funding in the nation as a state as it is. And so likely any further strain on our funding system here in Colorado will have significant effects.
Wellner says it's unlikely the money would simply vanish. Instead, it would be passed on to states who would control how it's spent, something conservative policy groups like the Cato Institute have supported, saying the federal government should drop the reins and let people at the state level decide where and how to exercise education authority.
One thing I think would be correct to anticipate is that we're going to see more and more of a red-blue divide across the country.
Trump's plan does face some hurdles. Republicans took back control of the Senate, but they don't have the 60 votes needed to pass this unless Republicans abolish the filibuster. If that does not happen, the president-elect would need some support from Democrats. Kyle's support he's probably unlikely to get on this education topic. Ultimately, all of this trickles down to local school districts. Right. Did you hear from any of them today? Reached out to a bunch of local school districts across the region. All of them pretty much said the same thing. At this point, it would be pure speculation to comment on this, but it's certainly something that's on their mind, something they could be gearing up for. No doubt. Evan Krugel, thank you very much.